Hey guys, Telegram Sam here. If you don't already know, I have an Instagram. It's telegram_Sam_vinyl. So if you're on Instagram, check me out there. But today's video is just a recent vinyl pickups where I show and talk about the records I've gotten these last 2 weeks. Sorry my recent vinyl pickups haven't been too long or epic. I'm in between jobs, so I'm trying not to spend crazy amounts of money. I actually just got a new job that I'm going to be starting this week, and I'm really excited. It's sort of in the same culinary baking field that my last job was in, and I'm going to be making more money, and it's for a smaller, locally well-known business here in Portland that's like women owned and operated, and I'm really excited about it. I feel really good about it. So hopefully in the future my recent vinyl pickups will be a little bit more exciting and fruitful. But anyways, let's get into the records I have to show you guys this week. First off, we have the Coasters Greatest Hits. Originally came out in 1959, and this is, I would guesstimate, a mid-60s US press. R&B, rock, doo-wop. This is their second comp album. I think they only ever actually released 2 studio albums, and then they released like 5 or 6 different comp albums that were made up of all the singles they released in the 50s. So you have like probably all of their well-known songs like Poison Ivy, Along Came Jones, Down in Mexico, I'm a Hog for You, Charlie Brown, Yakety Yak, Young Blood, Searchin', which is one of my favorite Coaster songs. I love the Coasters. Anytime I see anything from them, by them, I instantly buy it. I just love their sort of campy, early rock and roll doo-wop sound. And yeah, Jerry Liebler and Mike Stoller, 2 of the greatest songwriters ever, wrote all the songs for them. So I love this. And this one just came on the classic yellow Atco label, black vinyl. Next up, an Aretha Franklin album I don't think I've ever seen before. This is Hey Now Hey, The Other Side of the Sky by Aretha Franklin. I love this cover. I feel like I've never seen her do something as cool and crazy as this. But this is an original 1973 US press, soul, jazz, funk. It's on this cool gatefold. But yeah, I had no idea about this album until I saw it, and I was like, huh, it looks kind of like 70s, totally up my alley. But this is soul, jazz, funk, 19th studio album from Aretha, produced by Aretha and Quincy Jones. This is definitely her sort of getting into the 70s funk, but still trying to maintain her kind of old school 60s soul thing. This actually was originally going to be an all jazz album, but then once like Quincy Jones and Aretha started working on it, they realized they needed like a few sort of standard soul albums to kind of get some songs on the charts and to, spread the popularity of this album. I wouldn't say it's my favorite album of hers. It definitely isn't compared to, the stuff she did in the 60s. I find a lot of her vocals on this are just like a little too much for me. I feel like Aretha Franklin can be a genius when it comes to singing. Obviously, she's one of the greatest singers ever. But there's some times in some songs where it's like, we get it, you're a great singer, just like shut up for a second. And you kind of lose you just lose the song, and it just kind of becomes about her belting, and sometimes it just doesn't work. And I feel like there's a couple tracks on here where it doesn't work, but other songs on here that are fantastic and that are masterpieces. So definitely kind of like a meh album from her, but yeah, I think I'm going to keep it for now. And this one just came on black vinyl, classic red and green Atlantic label. Next up, we have Flowers of Evil by Mountain. This is a 1971 German press, rock, blues, hard rock. Their 3rd studio album and their 1st live album. This is like a split studio live album situation. The live tracks were recorded at Fillmore East in New York City. I have been meaning to get some Mountain. Obviously, like Mississippi Queen is such an iconic song. I always see that album, but it's always just so beat up. And yeah, this does have a version of Mississippi Queen on it, so I'm happy to have it. And this one just came on the early Island label. Next up, another one I see all the time and want to get, but they're always just in really crappy condition. This is Days of Future Past by the Moody Blues with the London Festival Orchestra. Originally came out in 1967, and I would guesstimate this is an early 70s US press. Prog, psych rock, orchestral. Second album from the band and the first concept album from them. It kind of goes through a regular guy's life, at least that's what the concept is supposed to be. And it's cited as actually one of the first examples of what prog music is, you know, the sort of rock music, but with these sort of psych influences that are kind of electronic, and obviously the orchestral thing really boosted that. But yeah, such a genius album. And I mean, if you were to have any Moody Blues album, this is the one to have. This is the one that has their biggest hit, Nights in White Satin. So you can usually find them pretty cheap. And this one came on the red and white Duran label. Next up, another one I've been on the hunt for a while. This is the soundtrack for Shaft by Isaac Hayes. This is an original 1971 US press with the gatefold. Soul, funk, jazz. I mean, probably most people know the soundtrack more than the movie. I unfortunately have not seen this movie yet. I've seen a lot of other blaxploitation movies like, you know, Superfly, The Mac, all of Pam Grier's blaxploitation movies, but for some reason I haven't seen this one yet, and I really need to change that. But this was Hayes' most recognizable and best-selling album, and Hayes actually originally got into the project because he wanted to actually play Shaft in the movie. I think he has like a small cameo role in the movie. But then the director was like, why don't you just like write the music? And so he wrote a couple pieces to give to the big wigs, and they liked it. And you're like, you should just do the whole soundtrack, and he did. And yeah, probably one of the best known blaxploitation soundtracks ever, probably after Superfly. And this one is a double LP. It came on the Enterprise label. Next up, we have A Day in the Life by Wes Montgomery. Originally came out in 1967, and I would guesstimate this is probably early mid-70s press. Jazz, and this is an album of sort of jazz covers of pop songs, like he does a cover of the Beatles' A Day in the Life, of course, When a Man Loves a Woman, Eleanor Rigby, Trust in Me, The Joker. Really great. I would say if this would be an album like I would recommend to someone if they're trying to get into jazz. It's not too out there. It's very like basic, ear-friendly jazz. You really can't go wrong with it. And I really love this cover of kind of like the ashtray. And this one just came on this sort of tan A&M Records label. Next up, we have The New Possibility, John Fahey's Guitar Soleil Christmas album. I am not a holiday or Christmas music person at all, but I've been meaning to get John Fahey's stuff, and I've kind of heard if there's a Christmas album to have, it's this one. This originally came out in 1968, and I would guesstimate this is probably like a 70s reissue. Folk, acoustic, holiday music, Fahey's best-selling album, and it was sort of the first time that like Christmas music was recorded in this sort of acoustic folk blues way. It was like, oh, you can do something besides like Bing Crosby style Christmas music. I mean, I honestly like if Joy to the World and Silent Night, Holy Night wasn't on here, I honestly, if you just threw this on, I wouldn't guess it was Christmas music because it just doesn't have that vibe. And plus, a lot of the other Christmas songs on here are ones I'm not personally that familiar with and seem kind of like old timey. But yeah, you kind of forget that it's a Christmas album and you just get lost in John Fahey's brilliant guitar playing. I mean, he's one of the greatest fingerstyle folk acoustic guitar players ever. And yeah, this is just really cool to find. And I love these Tacoma labels. Alright, that was it for the stuff I got these last 2 weeks. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.